Hey everyone, it's Jamie and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be celebrating the Halloween. I know Halloween's not till the end of the month, but just like last year, I'm going to be trying to fill this month with some like Halloween spooky themed builds. So you can kind of tell from my decorations and the awful camera quality. I have lots of decorations up just behind me. I got more wrapped around the whole room and in the sky. Yeah, so like last year, I'm just gonna do some Halloween themed builds and videos. And this is the first one for this year. We are going to be doing a speed build, I guess, for the Spellman Mortuary house from the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. So let's get right into the spooky and jump right into this video. All right, so here we are. Right now we're building in Brendleton Bay, but I ended up moving this build actually to Windenburg. I didn't really want it in Glimmerbrook, even though I know like the Spellmans, they're witches and they would definitely fit in because this is technically like a Victorian build. But the builds I have in Glimmerbrook for right now, at least, they're more of a, I guess you could say they're kind of more of a, when we speak of Victorian architectural language, they're definitely more in the style of what's commonly referred to as Second Empire. That's definitely my vibes. This house that we see in the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina is a what we would call, from the Victorian styles, Gothic revival, which all of Victorian architecture is Gothic revival, but this is the one style that's more specifically referred to as Gothic revival. And how it is characterized is by those very tall, pointy roofs. And often you'll see in all of them, but not in this one. You'll sometimes see those kind of windows that we got with Strangerville. So, you know, those are my ideas going into this, was thinking about what kind of a build this is. And I was like, it won't really fit in Glimmerbrook. And I already have one build that already doesn't really fit in Glimmerbrook, that I'm not willing to move out. So I was like, okay. So originally I was building here in Brendleton Bay, and my idea was, okay, the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. We don't know exactly where Greendale takes place in the world, this like universe that the TV show takes place in. But for those who don't know, Riverdale, which is the town next to Greendale, is based off of Haverhill, Massachusetts, which is in like the north, well, it's very north, a little bit more north than the North Shore, so it's above Boston, and it's about 40 minutes from Salem. So I was definitely, okay, it's definitely in that New England vibes, that New England area. So I'm like, okay, you could definitely get away with maybe doing that kind of New England life. But yeah, I ended up not keeping it here, sadly, just because this lot here is so beautiful and I don't think it really fits the vibe. I definitely needed something a little bit more secluded. I know the description for this lot says it's secluded, but it's not really, because it's right next to that like really big community lot. I don't know. It's not the most secluded. In Brendleton Bay, sadly, I think it's just missing a lot of bigger lots. They definitely could have made this world bigger. But you know, I will survive. So I ended up moving it to Windenburg, sorry, off in the countryside. If you go into the gallery, my username Jaymehorne, Jaymehorne, one word. You will find this build there. It's called the Spellman Mortuary. So yeah, so I like how this build came out. I ended up having to take it in a little. And even after I took it in a little, I do think I still maybe built it just a little too big. But I do think that's, since I wanted there to be a third floor, and try to have that kind of like a rooms up in that like what would be like an attic-y space. It definitely needed to, and I wanted the rooms to be usable. I definitely, you know, had to make it a little bigger than I think I would have liked. One thing, because I ran into a lot of issues building this, I think the number one issue I built in is, so for those who don't know, the house that you see in The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina does exist. There's no floor plans of it that I could find online, as well as during my research, I did find out that they do film a lot of scenes actually on a set. So there's like the iconic staircase from inside the house, which I do try to recreate. That is a complete set piece. That does not exist. So it doesn't really fit into the house. And you'll see as I'm trying to build it when we get there, it doesn't really look like it fits for a few reasons. One, we can't properly replicate it in The Sims, as well as then there's the issue of it doesn't actually belong in this house. It is a complete set piece from what I could tell online, and it didn't look like it was a recreation of the house. It looked like its own set piece, so that definitely was something I did not intend on. So that's fun. Some other issue, or not issues, I ended up building a basement, because in the show, for anyone who watches the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, you will know that the basement is where they do the embalming for the funeral house. Some issues that ran into there, I didn't want to create a funeral, like a embalming, because we don't have anything, I feel like, currently in The Sims 4 that could really replicate it in a way that I felt like wouldn't look cheesy or bad. So I ended up turning it actually into like a little spellcaster witchy basement, which I think fits fine, especially because I know in The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, they have like little tiny cauldrons they put on tables and use spells for that. The cauldrons we have in The Sims 4 are pretty big, so I was like, you know what, we'll just give them a whole witchy basement. And then the front of the house, when you first walk in, I ended up turning that into like the funeral parlor, and I have like a casket on display and some chairs out there, and then you go through the house and you get into the kitchen, the dining room, the living room, and then you can go up the stairs to the bedrooms. I also create like a little craft room. I was really kind of thinking that mostly for Hilda, Sabrina's aunt, who, you know, she's the more maternal one, you could say. So that was my idea. It's like she'd probably have a craft room. And I was like, Zelda would probably spend most time downstairs. And, you know, and Sabrina, you know, she's at school, so she doesn't hang out too much here. And then I have a room for Ambrose. I didn't know what to put in his room, so I put a bunch of like workout equipment, which Ambrose, from what I could see in the TV show, from, you know, he definitely, you know, he's not out of shape, but he doesn't really seem like the kind of guy to work out a lot. But seeing as in the third season, him and spoilers, I'm going to talk about some spoilers for season 3, so warning there. Yeah, in the third season, him and Prudence go off to hunt Father Blackwood. So he's definitely not out of shape, and definitely has to be in some kind of physical form to be able to keep up with that, I guess. So I don't know. This is another part I struggled here when we get up into the foundation here. I just didn't really know what to do. The house itself is so tall. I definitely could have maybe made a basement be the first floor, but I didn't really like that idea. As well as mostly I just don't like how that, when you do that, I don't know, in my recent builds I've found an issue where I make the first floor you know, not where the entrance to the house is. I've had issues with like the kitchen's not working, so I don't know what that's all about. That's a weird glitch. And I don't even know how to like properly like put in a Sims 4 like ticket for it, because I'm like, how do I explain this? Like, I don't know. But and yeah, it has a very tall foundation. So that was something I had to deal with. But you know, overall I'm pretty happy with how this build came out. For those who don't know, I'm super bummed about this, but if you didn't hear, the show has only been, it's being canceled after its next season, season 4. And I'm a little upset that Netflix has chosen not to renew it after season 4. I'm very glad they didn't just out, because sometimes they don't let shows finish. They just, you know, cancel them outright. From what I understand, it sounds like they were informed ahead of time. Like, okay, this is going to be your last season. We're not going to be renewing you. And that's very upsetting. I'm a huge fan of the show. And I do understand why it was canceled. Season 3, for those who haven't seen it yet, it's really bad. Season 3 is objectively not good. And I don't know what to say other than that. I think its biggest issue is some of the writing gets very lazy, in my opinion. And I do think the plot gets very convoluted. I don't know. There's aspects of season 3 I do really like. I do think it gets confusing. Spoiler time. So one of the issues is that since in season 2 they defeat Lucifer, the devil, and, you know, remove him from hell, it throws like the whole universe out of whack. And then all these like pagan worshippers rise up, and they, you know, worshiping their pagan deities, are trying to like take over the world and stuff. It's very vague, because all of one thing that's confusing is that all of them are named after some pagan deities. So I'm not sure if they themselves are supposed to be pagan deities. I was very confused by that plot line. I think maybe they were supposed to be the deities and not worshiping them, but it was a little not super well explained. And that could have just been something I missed. I did start to zone out after episode like 3, because I was really like, oh my god, we're 3 episodes in and I'm not enjoying this. And the pagans come later in the season, which was a weird choice too. But yeah, so the pagans, they're trying to take over or whatever. In the way the coven, Sabrina's coven, finds a way to get their magic back, because since they no longer worship Satan, they no longer have their powers and all this bad junk. They decide to start, or Zelda goes like on the spiritual journey and all this stuff, and she decides that the coven will start worshiping Hecate, who is a Greek goddess of often associated with witchcraft, and as well as like she's also known as like the 3-in-1, because she's often depicted sometimes as 3 faces or as 3 women, and depending on which Greek story or myth you're reading, sometimes other gods are referred to as being forms of Hecate. And so to defeat the pagans and get their magic back, they start worshipping a pagan god. I don't know. That was just a little weird. And I mean, I know they didn't necessarily, it was mostly Sabrina who defeated the pagan gods. And the way she did that was not super related to the whole Hecate. I don't know, but it was just weird. I felt like, I feel like the writers don't understand what's happening in their own show. So, and then there was just a bunch of other plot lines that really just ended up proving to not matter by the end of the season, to the point also it wasn't even like, oh, they were fun and they brought drama to the show. It was kind of like, that was pointless. So season 3 was really bad. That's my official review. There are elements I do really like, and I do think the finale was decent. And I will say there were times where I think I was a little bit more intrigued than I was in season 2. I really like season 2, but season 2 has a lot of problems, I think. Just kind of like as a story, if that makes sense. All the Sabrina stans are going to come for me, but they don't understand I am a Sabrina stan. Why else would I be building this? No, but yeah, I'm a huge fan of the show. I'm very sad to see that I think it's later this year, we're getting the final season. Like I said, I'm very sad, because I do genuinely enjoy it. I did really like the first 2 seasons. And yeah, season 3, I didn't hate season, like I've watched worse TV. I will say it's not as bad as the last season of Game of Thrones, but it just wasn't like, I just don't think it was up to par with the first 2 seasons, and that is kind of its issue. And like I said, it's still better than some of the other TV that I've watched and that I've invested in. It's better than Riverdale. Fun fact, I stopped watching Riverdale after season 2. I watched a little bit of 3, but I had to stop. It's so bad. I don't know what Riverdale is, but I wish it would stop. Anyways, we're not talking about Riverdale though. But yeah, let's get a little back into this build for the last few minutes here. As you see here, it's very tall. I think it's a lot taller than it's supposed to be. But I really wanted that kind of like iconic Gothic roof. And like I said, I think this would have fit well in Forgotten Hollow, but I didn't have a lot big enough for it. Unless I was going to maybe put it on a smaller lot, which I was afraid the house wouldn't really fit, because this lot is a 40 by 30, and I ended up moving it to a I think and also a 40 by 30, but the other way. Like it's long. This one is long. Like the 40 is going this way, and the 30 is going this way. So 40 in the front, 30 going back. And then the one I move it to is 30 in the front, 40 going backward, if that makes sense. That was really badly described. I do apologize. So I do end up changing the which is why I cut out all the landscaping. It's because the landscaping, even though I did generally the same thing, it had to change a lot. But yeah, the house pretty much stays the same. I end up covering it in all sorts of, like cracks and the vines that we got from vampires, just so that it like felt more, old, maybe a little abandoned. And then the trait, I gave it the haunted trait and the creepy crawlies trait. So if you are gonna live here, I do apologize, but I wanted to make it really like, very like chilling adventures of Sabrina, very dark. And as you see here, we're gonna be, I am just trying to figure out some last elements before I start working on the inside. Because yeah, the outside of this build went through a lot of changes. It is very much not the same build we had at the beginning. I used that Strangerville door here. I could have probably used a base game red door, but there is no doors that look like the door from the show. And once again, I don't know if that door is a prop or the real door. So I don't know, but yeah, here you're gonna see I'm trying to build the staircase. So the staircase, it starts off, you'll see I'll have an image of here with it too. You'll see how but because we can't do that in The Sims. It doesn't quite work out. Anyway, so I'm going to wrap up this voiceover here. I'll make sure to check out some of my other content, and I'll see you in the next video.